Hello and welcome to the Stronger, Leaner, Lighter show. Tonight, I am your host, Sally Thibault. Over the next 20 minutes or so, I'm going to be sharing with you one of the most powerful things I do every year, and that is the practice of no excuses in November. Now, I started this, I think, maybe about 8 or 9 years ago, when I was really looking myself at how I was creating the stories in my head about what I couldn't achieve. I remember it was a big year. It had been a big year, but I hadn't reached the goals that I really wanted to. I hadn't reached those targets that I wanted. And even though I'd been working really hard at it, I couldn't figure it out. What was going on for me? So one night, it was quite, I don't know, maybe 4 o'clock in the morning, I thought, do you know what? I've got a feeling I'm making a lot of excuses based on stories I'm telling myself. And I thought, you know what? It was coming up to November. Now, I always do a theme every month. I've always done it. So I pick a theme every month, the things that I'm going to do. And it usually is something like, I think one month I did make sure I did 20 push-ups a day. Another month, making sure I was drinking 6 bottles of water a day. Another month, it was making sure I was going to bed by 8:30 every day. So this No Excuses November was like a big bow on top. I wanted to make sure that I wasn't using excuses to hold me back. And I learned some very powerful lessons, and they're the lessons I'm going to share with you tonight. Now, if you're watching this from the group, the Living Lighter group, you'll see where you'll need to give StreamYard permission in case you want to answer some questions. But other than that, we'll just keep on going. As if you have any comments or questions, just let me know as we go along. All right. One of the things that I learned when the very first time I did this is that our excuses are created to protect us. In other words, the way that we create the excuses always has a theme to it. That's what I discovered. And over the years that I've continued doing this, there's a theme to the excuses. And when I realized that the excuses were here to protect me, I wasn't just being lazy or I wasn't having no motivation, but this was actually a real issue that was going on in my brain. It was suddenly this incredible empowerment that came from it because I realized I could actually do something about it. Now, we don't see ourselves as we are. We actually see ourselves through the eyes of what we believe ourselves to be. Every single one of us has a series of beliefs that are locked into our emotional brain. Those beliefs come about from the people, the words, and the events of our past that were said to us or done to us at times when we felt vulnerable or in trauma. Those stories, those memories get trapped in our emotional brain, in particular the amygdala. Now, the amygdala, the hippocampus, the hypothalamus is where we store these memories. When we place ourselves in situations where we feel vulnerable, you're going to swing into action. That your brain, that emotional part of your brain is going to swing into action to keep you safe. Hence the excuses. Now, what happens is that when it happens, perhaps you've set yourself a goal to reach a big target. Perhaps you've set yourself a goal to lose a certain amount of weight. Perhaps you've set yourself a goal to make more money. Perhaps you've set yourself a goal to get fitter. As you come up through that, there has to be some vulnerability because you're stepping outside of your comfort zone. And when you step outside of your comfort zone, your brain goes, we're not used to this because we're wired. Our neurons wire together. It keeps us doing the same thing over and over again. Those habits are the neurons that wire together. And what's beautiful thing is you can actually change that. So they say neurons that wire together, fire together. So you'll say, I've always done this, or this is just the way I am. No, it's the way your neurons are wired together, and you can actually change those. But I want to talk a little bit about frequency illusion versus confirmation bias. Now, what frequency of illusion is when you make a decision about something. Say you say, I want to buy a brand new white Tesla. The power of your brain goes searching for ways to draw your attention to that white Tesla. Have you ever noticed when you make a decision, you want a certain car, all of a sudden you'll see that car everywhere? They've always been there. It's just that you make a decision, and so your brain goes searching for them. So, for instance, if you set a goal to lose weight, all of a sudden you'll see all sorts of ways that you can lose weight. Have you ever thought about, if you're on social media, is a classic example. Now, I think AI works. You don't have to think something like you want to go on a cruise or a trip to the US, and all of a sudden it'll pop up everywhere on your social media ads. That's how it works. It's just as you zero in and focus in on something, your brain goes searching for ways to make it happen. What happens next is a process called confirmation bias. And confirmation bias is the next step. Because say, for instance, you want a white Tesla, but deep down you don't believe you could ever really have one. Perhaps you don't feel worthy of it. You don't feel valuable enough. You think, I'll never make enough money. That confirmation bias will step in and create the excuses to the reason why you can't have it. They're too expensive to run. You'd never be able to plug them in and get enough electricity to power up the battery. You've seen Tesla drivers, they're just terrible drivers. Your brain will go searching for ways to confirm the bias you already have. And in my experience, how that confirmation bias works is always comes down to self-worth and value, what you believe about yourself. Because you see yourself through your eyes, and your eyes, your beliefs are created by the people, the words, and the events of your past. And it confirms who you are, that confirmation bias. Because in order for you to change that, meaning you'll have to rewire some new neurons, it's uncomfortable. Your brain will create the excuses. And that's why this No Excuse November is so incredibly powerful. Not just because you are going to challenge yourself to not making excuses, but it's who you find out you really are. Now, today, what I do every when I'm doing this whole process is that I write down my intentions, goals for the month. I have about 6 or 7 of them I want to achieve in this next 30 days. Some of them are ones I do already. I just want to write them down. It makes my piece of paper look good. And then I write, for instance, I commit to working out 6 days this week. No excuses behind it. I commit to drinking 6 bottles of water per day. No excuses. I commit to going to bed by 8:30 every night. No excuses. Eventually, after I've been writing no excuses, no excuses, no excuses, usually takes about 7 days before that just becomes a mantra in my head. No excuses, no excuses, no excuses. So, right now I'm sitting here with my 7th bottle of water because I kept thinking, okay, no excuses, I have to finish 6. I got up this morning and we had a big day yesterday, and I woke up early and I got up and thought, I could have a rest. No excuses, just click straight into my head. Nope, get up and do that workout. So in order to make this work, let's talk about that. Number 1, clarity is your best friend. Going back to that frequency of illusion. So you have to create the clarity in your mind of what you really want. Clarity is your best friend. Remember, not what you don't want, but what you want. Get very, very clear on it, because that's when your brain is going to work with you. And writing it down every day helps you create that clarity. Secondly, intuition is your guide, because what will happen, remember we talked about frequency of illusion before, your intuition can swing into action. And I don't know how many times this has happened to me, and happened to me today, is I've written down a goal, excuses that's been in my head, and then something happened. I think it was like a post that went through Facebook or something, and I went, oh, well, exactly, that's what I should be doing. Now, because I had created the clarity, because my intuition was working with me, When that post went through, normally I just let it go and I just stopped because my intuition was telling me to stop and have a look at this. And the next part of this is that action is your superpower. Now, you can have all the intentions in the world, but unless you are operating with your action plan, nothing's going to happen. Nothing. And you can create all the pretty vision boards in the world. You can write these goals out every single day, but it's the action is the superpower. What are you going to do? And part of that is looking at the words that you use. Do you know, it's so easy to fall into excuses. I'm too busy, I'm too tired, I'm too old, I'm too young, overwhelmed, out of my comfort zone, it's too hard, it's too frustrating. You know the ones that you use. You know them. It'll automatically slip into your head. I'm just too busy. I hear that all the time. I'm just too tired. I can't do this. I'm just too. What I want to challenge you for the month of November is, instead of saying I'm too, drop the O from the end of that word to and add it to the word choose. I choose to. Now, there's some wonderful science around using the word choose, and developed by a wonderful psychologist, the late Dr. Patricia Carrington. It's well into her 90s when she passed away. She did so much research around when people add the word I choose, it puts them in a position of power. I told this story on Monday night. We're in a situation where we're moving my dad, who's been extremely independent, living by himself for a very long time. He's now 90, had a mild heart attack on the 16th of September. And he's not been home since. He's been moved from hospital to rehab to assisted living, back in hospital again tonight. But this week, what we did last week, my sisters did last week, was take him to a different assisted living place. And which is one we'd all seen, and we all think that it's the best for Dad, but we wanted to give him the option to make his own decision. And he thought about it for 48 hours and came back later and said, you know what, that's the one I want. Because what we did was allowed him to choose. And when he could choose, like everything's being taken away from him at the moment, but when he could choose where he's going to go next, it made him feel empowered. And so for us too, instead of saying I'm too busy or I have to, if you change it to I choose, it gives you that sense of empowerment, gives you that sense of creating your own reality. Very, very powerful. I use it in tapping a lot. When we're doing a reframe round, I'll always add I choose, because when you do that, as I said, it puts you in a position of empowerment. So back to that, action is your superpower. Manifestation is an action word. I know too many people who sit and kind of think about, what they want to manifest in their life. And I remember a book called, I think it's called The Millionaire Next Door, T. Harv Eker. Can't remember the name of the book. Where in the book he says, I'm yet to meet a millionaire who made his money by meditating under a tree, waiting for a bag of gold to drop on his head. If you're going to have a no excuses November and you want to manifest in your life success, you have to choose to release all victim mentality and choose to be the creator of your own perfect reality. So look, again, going back and looking at setting those goals and intentions, where are you moving into victim mentality? Where are you using your old stories to make excuses for you? Do you know, we slip very easily into this excuses and victim mentality because it allows us to fail privately. If you set yourself and put yourself out to be vulnerable, to lose weight or to make more money, and you don't get there, you fail publicly. How many times have you been on a diet, for instance, lost weight, and then you put it back on again because you're one of the 97.5% of people in the world who go on a diet, lose weight, put it all back on again, and you know how that feels. it feels like you failed. And so when you want to do it again, there's that sense of, oh, I don't want to fail again. But what do people think of? What do people think? I've done it before. So we don't start. We make, oh, it was just too hard. I tried, but I was too busy. And besides, it got really cold, or it got really hot, or really, I'll just be. And all it is your desire to not fail publicly. See how powerful this No Excuses November is? I hope you're writing all this down. It's the ability to truly understand what drives you. So you're in the driver's seat. Now, when I did my tapping this morning, I'd set myself a big goal and I was tapping around it. And it was really interesting what came up for me. And it was all around, who do I think I am? That's what it was. All around, who do I think I am? And the only reason why is because I'm at this level. So I started down here at this level at the beginning of the year. I'm now at this level. And to go to the next level, man, I got to pull apart all that old construct, all those old beliefs to step in to the new reality. And it's scary. Even me, even after all this work that I've done, every time you go up to that next level, it gets scary. Whether that be your body, your relationship, or your bank account, all three. Every time you want to elevate, every time you want to get fitter and stronger, every time you want to lose those 10 kilos that have piled on over the last 2 years, every time you want to make more money, it takes you to a next level where you're going to have to look at the excuses you create and clear them. Because that's all this process does. It makes you aware of the stories you're telling yourself. Do you want to know the real secret? Share it with you. You have to meet the universe halfway. You have to meet the universe halfway. So if you set an intention and you decide you're going to create no excuses, you're going to create action. That's your secret sauce, right? Action. So you create the intention, which is asking the universe. You're going to put the action in, that's meeting you halfway. And then if you're really focused, you can ask for an unmissable sign. I heard this on a podcast I was listening to during the week with Ali Brown on Glambition Radio. And I thought, yes. I mean, I often ask for a sign. Dr. Joe Dispenza talks about that all the time. But to ask for an unmissable sign. Okay, this is where I want to go. I want to lose this weight, but how do I do it? I really want to. I'm prepared to put the action in. I'm going to eat well, but I need some help. I want an unmissable sign that will show me what's the right thing to do for me. And then, icing on the cake is to let go. And the reason that's so important, because that shows you trust. Because most of the things we want will never come on our time frame. Ever. How many times has this happened to you? That you decide you want something and it's not till you a month down the road, 2 months down the road, you've gotten it, but didn't come the way you wanted it. The universe has always got your back, but you have to meet it halfway. So ask for that unmissable sign and then let go. Because let your intuition, your frequency evolution, your intuition, let it find it for you. But you keep putting the action in. I want to talk a little bit about tie this all in to feeling stronger, leaner, and lighter. Because when you focus on your emotional, spiritual, and physical health, your weight will take care of itself, not the other way around. This process we're going to do for the month of November is all about focusing on your emotional and spiritual health. And when you combine that with choosing to focus on your physical health, your weight will take care of itself. And to me, that's been the problem with all the diet programs, diet companies. They just focus on weight. If you're physically, emotionally, and spiritually well, your weight's going to take care of itself. If your weight is there, there's something going on physically, emotionally, and spiritually. But to just take one aspect of that triangle and think it's all about food or exercise, missing this wonderful other aspect of it. Because there's 5 steps to sustainable weight release. So it's not just about food. You notice in here, I talk very little about food. It's less stress. How you'll figure that out in this process of No Excuse November. More sleep, less sugar and seed oils, more strength, and proven supplementation. They're the 5 steps to effective weight loss. And just focusing on food and exercise is not the answer. You have to look at, okay, how do I let my body become this kind of wellness machine? And you've got to look at your metabolic health. That's what's incredibly important. You look at your cellular health, your brain health, heart health, metabolic health, skin health, bone, joint, eye, and physical performance. They're all incredible. They're part of a package. So if you're ready to step up and do all that, I just want a little ad at the end of all this. This is your sign. This is your sign. If you really want to take your health and wellness to the next level, this is your sign, because waiting is simply an excuse. Do you know, it's funny, one of the excuses I hear people talking about wanting to release the weight that no longer serves, that, oh, well, I'll wait till after the wedding. Oh, well, I'll wait till after Easter. Oh, well, I'll wait till after Christmas. I'll wait till I get everything sorted. That's just an excuse. It's just an excuse. That's all it is. When you are truly ready to honor and value your body and your physical and emotional and spiritual well-being, start now. I mean, I don't understand. I hear it, as I said, I hear it all the time. Because people in the past have thought about it as being a diet. It's not a diet. Not a diet. In order to release the weight that no longer serves you physically, emotionally, and spiritually, why would you wait is all I can say, because that's just an excuse. So I hope you like that little ad. And if you want to talk to me more about this, click on the link. Let's have a chat and see if I can help you release the weight that no longer serves you physically, emotionally, and spiritually. And during the month of November, what a perfect time to do all that, before the end of the year. Do you realize there's less than 8 weeks left till the 1st of January? That's just extraordinary. So if you're ready to start something brand new and you are ready and willing to release the weight that no longer serves you physically, emotionally, and spiritually, reach out. Let's have a chat. I'd love to help you. Thank you so much for being on the call tonight. It's been my pleasure to share this with you, and I promised I would only go for 20 minutes. I'm 3 minutes over. So thank you, everybody, for being on the call, and I hope you will reach out, because I'd really love to chat with you to see if and how I can help you release the weight that no longer serves you. So you are no excuses. Starting now, no excuses. I'll see you next week. Bye for now.